Good evening, everyone. My name is Violet Haldane, and I'm president of the West Indian Foundation. This evening, we are delighted to have a discussion with two different groups. We are the Community Coalition, and we're made up of 13 different community organizations. And we decided that maybe if we got together, we would be able to better represent our community and identify issues that were common to all of us. So without further ado, on the invitation, the flyer, all of the organizations are listed. I think someone had wanted to know what were the organizations. So they are listed on the flyer, and if you need additional information about that, we'll be happy to get that to you. I'm happy today that we have two different conversations. We have representatives from Comcast, Ms. Katie Keeney and Mr. Brad Palazzo. Ms. Katie is a senior business account executive, and Brad Palazzo, he's director of community impact for Western New England. So thank you both for being here. And the second half of our conversation will be dedicated to housing. And for that, we have Ms. Selah Mascara Bruno, who's the housing commissioner, and State Rep Brandon McGee, who also serves on the housing committee for the state. So that's our agenda today, two separate topics. The first half we will dedicate to Comcast, and I'll just begin that by saying that the COVID-19 has definitely impacted our community. It has highlighted a lot of differences in our communities, the disparities that exist. We talk about the digital divide. It's shown the differences in education and health. And I just wanted to start off with Comcast to ask them, either person can take this as to what has Comcast been able to do, or what is Comcast doing to support our communities, our individuals, especially in light of education and the digital divide?
I can take that. And thanks for having myself and Katie tonight. And again, Brad Palazzo, I handle our community impact for what is our Western New England region. So to put that in perspective for you, that's the state of Connecticut, Western Massachusetts, the state of Vermont, and then parts of New Hampshire and New York as well. And I've been with Comcast for 15 years, so I've been around the block in the Connecticut area and also did time in our Beltway region, so DC, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, in Delaware area. So pleasure to be with you all tonight. And it's a great question. And, our company, we know we're really a linchpin for a lot of people. Home connectivity, and more so than ever, that was exacerbated during this pandemic. And we wanted to make sure that, not only, traditionally people are, maybe doing some remote work from home on an occasion and doing some schoolwork in the evening and then really using us for their entertainment needs, our internet and X1 platform. But when this pandemic hit, you see me in my office now, in my bedroom. That's where I've been since March. I'm sure many of you are in the same position. You're working out of your home. Our kids are learning from home all across the country and all across our region. So more so than ever, our network reliability and our connection to the home became super important. And we know, we're a company that's extremely committed to our local presence. We're a large company. We're in 39 states in the District of Columbia, but we have a strong presence in Connecticut and in Hartford, and areas across the state. And we want to be a community player. We want to help folks. So my role really is managing all of our corporate social responsibility and our nonprofit partnerships with organizations like Boys and Girls Club, the Urban League, United Way, Big Brothers Big Sisters, and many local grassroots organizations. And part of what I manage is our Internet Essentials program, which really came in to play during this pandemic. It's been around for almost 11 years. But when the pandemic hit, folks really took note of it as a lifeline connection, really, for folks to get online and stay connected at a really nominal fee. So it's a program we designed to really help close the digital divide and help those lower income individuals gain access to the internet. So, where there's plenty of broadband being piped through neighborhoods, the barrier might have been more of a cost barrier as it relates to our other products and services. And we have an array of residential products and services all the way up to a gig of service to a residential home. But they cost varying levels of money as you go up in the tiers. And we wanted to make sure we had something available for folks to connect. So Internet Essentials is that. I mean, they can connect for $10 a month. During COVID, we actually have been providing 60 days free. So we started that in March and we made a commitment till the end of April. And then we extended it again until the end of June. And then we extended it again until the end of the year. So anyone that signs up for Internet Essentials between now and December 31st, 2020, they'll receive their first 60 days free from Comcast. And the hope there too is that provides them a little bit of assistance in that they don't have to come out of pocket for that $10 the first 2 months. And then after that, it's $9.95 a month. And, I can't speak indefinitely into the future, but I can say presently, and I can speak back 11 years since we launched the program, we haven't increased the price. It's always been $9.95. That gets them a modem as well. So there's no additional fees. It's really $9.95. They'll get Wi-Fi in the home, and it really helps with that distance learning. And also too, for folks that may be working from home during this as well. So Internet Essentials is the big piece. And then we also opened up all of our business and in the community aerial hotspots free to everybody. So that includes non-customers as well. And that's the same thing. It kind of followed the same track as Internet Essentials. We committed to the end of April, then we extended it to the end of June, and now we've extended this as well to the end of the year. So folks, when they're in the community and they can access one of those access points, and they can go to xfinity.com/Wi-Fi, and it pulls up a nice interactive map that they can see where the locations are, and then they can gain access when they're in those locations or outside those locations. So the Wi-Fi piece is really not the number one way for someone to connect, especially during this, because for a portion of these months we were all homebound. So really having that connection in the home is the best way to go. But this is just an additional benefit for folks, so that if they're in the community or they happen to be out at a McDonald's or a Starbucks and they might be able to grab onto that internet, they can access it there as well. And then really, it's like I said, it's been all about network reliability. So our engineers and technicians worked overtime, and they always do anyway, but really to make sure that we had minimal, if any, hiccups during this issue, because everybody was watching TV from home, learning and working from home. So we wanted to make sure it was as seamless as possible. So we really are trying to do what we can to help folks gain access at a real reasonable price. And we're partnering with school districts all around the state. We've had conversations with Hartford and New Britain, New Haven, and we're talking to the state now as well, Lamont's office, to see if there may be an opportunity for them to help subsidize some service for folks across the state. So that's kind of, I'm happy to answer any questions. I mean, I know I covered a lot. There's a lot of nuances to the program. I'm happy to go into further detail, but I don't want to just ramble on and on. I figured I'll stop and let you ask questions, or if you want to ask, go down another path, happy to do that.
Okay, I'm just going to ask people that if they have questions to put it in the group chat, and I will ask them. The Internet Essentials, what is the criteria for that, just so we know?
Sure. So low income. So essentially, they're eligible if you participate in any number of public assistance programs. So that could be National School Lunch Program, housing assistance, Medicaid, SNAP, SSI, and others. And actually on our internetessentials.com website, there's an FAQ section that lists out even in more greater detail whom would qualify. So it's that piece. There's really, at this point, there's really three prongs. One of them is kind of tabled for the end of the, until the end of the year. So one, you have to be in that eligible population I mentioned, and there's an FAQ on the website. The second piece is you have to live in an area that Comcast services, which you do. And then someone can't have subscribed to Comcast internet service within the last 90 days. They could have cable service, they just can't have internet service. And the real reason behind that, and that's been in play since we launched this program, and it's something that the company hasn't been willing to move on, and it's really related to, we designed the program to help close the digital divide. So this program is really to help those who don't have access or haven't had access to the internet. And they can sign up as long as they haven't had our internet service within the last 90 days. And then the last piece, which is temporarily on hold, is they can't have debt with us that is under 1 year. If it's under a year, we want them to pay it back. If it is over a year, we'll provide amnesty for it. But the change to that, also until December 31st, is if they have debt with us, no matter what length of time, we will provide amnesty so that they can sign up for the program immediately. And they won't have to, once they have 12 months of good payment history, that debt goes away. So that's a big piece, and actually something that's changed over, the decade plus that we've been running the program. When we started the program, if anyone had debt, they weren't eligible. Obviously, this program, we work with community partners, elected officials, community organizations like yourselves, and we heard a lot of feedback on that, and we've modified that over time. And even during this pandemic, we went as far as to say, we'll take away that policy. Because we don't want to preclude anyone who might be really struggling during this time.
Okay, so that was relief for individuals and families. Is there any relief for businesses? As you know, many of our organizations are service organizations, and they've been closed since March. Probably wanted to keep the internet on for when you're able to open up. So is there any relief now or maybe going forward when they can open for a certain amount of time, discount billing, or if the site is used for COVID testing, maybe a discount?
Yeah, I've not heard of any discounts per se. I don't know, Katie, have you heard of any? Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll jump in. So yeah, Comcast Business has actually done a couple things to help. We understand this is a tough time and people are trying to figure out where they're going to work. So one of the things that we've done is we've eliminated temporarily early termination fees. We also require typically a 60-day notice to cancel service. We've, are waiving that 60-day notice because we know that people might not know what's happening. For businesses that had to close during the earlier parts of COVID, like, restaurants, barbershops, hair salons, we did have a program where they could call on to customer care and they could reduce their bill. That would keep their service active and keep their phone number active so that they didn't have to cancel and restart, but it would lower their bill down to $30 a month. So that was something that we offered. And I'm not clear if that's something that is still being offered because some of the businesses have started to reopen. But that's definitely something that we've been offering. We also we never did a month-to-month contract. We're offering month-to-month contracts for people because they might need to have a home office internet account. They may be in a temporary location. I had somebody that decided to open a whole bunch of trailers for their staff so that they're not all together in the office. So we were able to do temporary month-to-month accounts for them. We also launched a internet bundle for a home office. And actually for a regular business too, that we would adjust the price. So the first month you'd pay a very discounted rate. And then for the next 3 months, the price would increase until you're paying your full price of the promotion. That way it gives you some time to bounce back from COVID and not have the big expense of the bills, So we have done a lot of things. We have made some changes and sorry, that's Elmer. He wants to go.
It's a great dog.
Thank you. He can usually open the door, but I guess it's shut. But yeah, so we've done a lot of stuff, and we understand that this is a tough time. Nobody really understands where they're going to be working and what's going on. And
okay,
thanks, Katie.
Yeah, could you find out more for us about the $30 to see if it's still effective and if some of the small businesses on the line want to participate? Could you just send us some information about that?
Sure. So I'll definitely, I've reached out and we haven't heard that it's over, but I just was waiting confirmation for that. But the customer care number, if you're eager to find out, is the best way to do that until I can get back to you with some solid answers. And I can put that in the chat or send an email.
So is the regular customer care phone number?
It's for Comcast Business. The customer care number is 1-800
1-800
391
391
3000.
3000. I'm going to put it here. Okay. Another question is, if we as a group, all 13 organizations came together, is there any opportunity for our membership to get discounted rates? You know, like if we were an association, you know how sometimes.
We do premier billing for large accounts if they have, you know, multiple accounts throughout, you know, the state or the country. We do offer premier billing. There are certain requirements, and I believe one of them is that you would have to be the same business. I don't think it would be its business affiliation. Brad, do you care about that?
Yeah, that sounds right to me. That you have to be that one congruent business. It couldn't be an affiliated piece.
Okay. Another question is, do you do any type of training or offer training to the community, especially job training? Because I know that you have a lot of technicians, etc. Do you ever have any type of programs that you open up to the community for job training, whether it's how to use your services better and more effectively, or how to train people to do positions that you may have within your company?
Yeah, so we don't do any community trainings per se, but what we do is, you know, we work with our talent and HR group, and really, you know, my budget through our corporate social responsibility arm, we help fund organizations that are currently doing that type of work in the community. So the Urban League comes to mind, you know, that kind of handles youth and also workforce development. We've partnered with the NAACP as well throughout the state, have a relationship with Scott Esdale. You know, the Boys and Girls Clubs is more youth oriented. But if there are, you know, like you now have my contact information. So I'm the pipeline into, you know, what Comcast is doing in the community. So if you are aware of a strong program in the community that is, you know, that can help with workforce development and training for folks to gain, you know, skills in jobs that they're looking to acquire, and there's some funding needed, you know, to sponsor something like that, or programmatic support, maybe some computers or something like that, I'd be happy to consider partnering with you guys to do that. We don't have a program in-house that does that, but we're always willing to work with folks in the community and use some of our resources to help support them in their efforts to do so.
Okay.
Can I just jump in for a sec?
Sure.
So when I first started at Comcast through the Internet Essentials program, we had a program where we would help families, low-income families, get devices and things like that. And in the past, they used to train mostly the youth, I think, learning how to do. Is that still something that we offer through that Internet Essentials program? Or
yep. So yeah. So yeah. Through the Internet Essentials program, we do. So the two organizations we work with in Connecticut are the Literacy Council, the Literacy Volunteers of Greater Hartford, and then the New Haven Public Library. And we support digital literacy and skills for digital economy training with those folks. So we provide them seed money, and then they do their computer tech and training with folks throughout the community. In this environment, they're doing more virtual stuff, but similar to the partnerships we have, like I said, with Urban League and others, where we'll partner with an organization who's an expert in that space or doing it already, and help provide them some funding to accommodate it.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
I'm going to ask some questions regarding the community specifically. Are there any strategic plans for improving services in the north end of Hartford? We have a lot of dead zones, and there is a section of Main Street from about 2,800 to about 3,400, 3400. That has no internet service, and we've been told that it would be cost prohibitive to put, whatever wiring or whatever is needed, the infrastructure on that side of the street. But that side of the street houses a lot of businesses.
Okay.
Can you repeat the address? It's Main Street? And
Yes,
2400 to
2880 to about 3400
Okay.
Okay.
Main Street. And
I
I've
can take a
called your
look.
service people. I've called and I've spoke to the salesperson for that region, and they're going to investigate. Haven't received a call back, and it's been going on, and it's known that there is no infrastructure in that area.
It's tough sometimes in the downtown, the cities, because of the cost. We have to pay the police officers to do traffic. We have to often dig through the road and make a trench. We do everything as far as reseeding grass if we have to. So I'd definitely be able to look into it and see. I'm sure it's been surveyed in the past, but I'm happy to get one of our PCs out there just to see, even if we broke it up into sections of the street, or what would be the best way to strategically go about it. But we do typically, we want to see if there's a return on our investment, of course, and we typically don't do a build until we know that we have people that are signed up for service. But situations like this where, a big build in downtown Hartford, it's definitely something that I'll present, because it's something Comcast business would want to look into.
Yeah, and Katie, keep me in the loop on that too, because we can always pull in, once there's a survey done, we can pull in some Jim Bitsis and Paul, my boss, etc., to have a conversation about it. But Violet, what might be helpful is, can you send us a list of some of those businesses, just so we have a list of who kind of inhabits those addresses, and like Katie said, we'll see if we can get someone out there to survey it and determine what the hard cost is, and then we may flip the conversation. I don't do Katie's job, so I don't want to overstep, but I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to if you guys help lead talking to some of those businesses, so we can I know in residential spaces, when we talk about building out, we want to make sure that there's enough, like Katie said, return to put the infrastructure there. But if there's 10 businesses that all want to sign up, and and we talk to them about services that they're interested in, there may be a give and take that would make it meaningful for us to do. So we'll look into it to see what issues are currently presenting themselves and what we could do. And if you could help us to know who's in that area, that would be great.
Okay. Because
and you have my word, and Katie, that we will get back to you. It won't be a scenario where whatever phone calls you've been placing where they weren't returned, you'll get an answer from us.
They know what we look like now, so we can't hide.
Yeah, these are part of the promise zone. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, just to give Katie and Brad some additional insight and to lighten the load a little bit on you wanting this organization to provide you with names of businesses. There was a survey done about 8 years ago that surveyed via a consultant, surveyed the residents as well as business owners on the entire Main Street corridor in the West Indian Social Club, as well as the foundation took part in leading this particular study. And for years now, we've found that there is no infrastructure in the ground, for Wi-Fi. All right, so there's no need to waste your time and to ask businesses yet again what their needs are. The fact of the matter is there's no infrastructure. And so we've been in contact. There's a delay. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
There's definitely been conversations with about 3 different administrations currently with Mayor Luke Bronin, and he's very aware of the fact that this particular section of our city lacks Wi-Fi. So, businesses are doing the best that they can, but there's definitely a need for businesses like Comcast, Cox, and others to provide that infrastructure, or at least say, look, we're willing to go half if the city can meet us halfway.
Understood.
Right.
And I think, Katie, too, I'll pull in my colleague, Matt Skane, who's government affairs manager for Hartford. We have a good relationship with Mayor Brown and Brandon. And I do think, now that as we're talking through this, I feel like Matt's been involved in that. So we'll get you guys more information in terms of cost and things like that so that we can better adequately make a decision. And we'll get back to you, though, just so you're aware, whatever path we may take with the city.
Yeah, just an FYI, we also received some bonding dollars for an entire streetscape project. And my reservation is, look, before we start digging in the ground, we want to make sure we're coordinating with Comcast or whoever's the provider so that we're not going in the ground twice.
Definitely. And Brandon, I'll for everybody too, I'll put my information in the chat. You probably work with Rob early on our team, correct? Or do you know Rob, or have you worked with Rob?
Me?
Brandon is on mute.
Yeah,
Okay.
Brandon. He handles our state legislative affairs.
Yes, I was not in my head, but yes, I worked.
All right, perfect. There's that delay. I'll put for everybody. I'll put my email in the chat. So if you have Brandon,
and by the way, this is Comcast. Delay.
Yeah, I have Comcast.
What? I can't hear you. What?
What speed do you have?
As a matter of
we have
fact,
the highest. We pay about $300 a month, and this thing is still shabby. Just the FYI.
yeah,
You know what?
you're very
One thing I'll
expensive.
tell you is I pay a similar price because I don't live in Comcast footprint, so I pay Cox in Glastonbury. But what I will say is I'm sitting here in the corner of my bedroom, and that's where I've been working for 3 months. But I even found this was a dead spot for me, so I had to get Cox sells what basically it's our technology, but they're called pods. We can get you some pods, and it creates like a mesh Wi-Fi network in your home. So depending on where your modem might be sitting and where you're currently sitting, the pods can really help extend the service. And that's what I had to do myself here in the corner of my bedroom, because I was having a tough time getting a proper signal because my modem was on the other side of my house, a floor down.
Yeah, even hardwired, that it's recommended not to go over 250 feet. Then the service really deteriorates after that. And Wi-Fi signal has a tough time going certain types of walls, like concrete walls. It's not going to work. So, yeah, but there are definitely options, like Brad mentioned.
Okay.
But I just sent my email, so anybody feel free to connect with me. But Brandon, just I'd like to connect with you too on some of those bonding dollars and what you were talking about, the streetscape, et cetera, so I can pull in the right folks within our organization as well.
So, thank you for that. Can you talk to us about your strategic plans and if and when we're going to get 5G, and if and when we have the highest level speed internet, especially in the north end of Hartford?
So I can't tell you a plan for the north end because I'm kind of just we're a big company, as you can tell. So I'm just kind of getting pulled into this discussion here tonight. So I will do my due diligence and get back with you on that, as well as Katie. As it relates to 5G, that's not us, that's the cell providers. So that's not something I can wade into. I will say that Hartford and all communities in Connecticut do have the ability to get our fastest speeds, which is up to a gigabit of service residential. Now there's a significant cost to that, but they can get a gig of service.
There are certain pockets that can't, and like Lakeville, Connecticut, for example, can't get our gig yet. It's in the works. I draw a blank on what I was going to say before that.
Katie brings up a great point, though. It's not ubiquitous throughout our entire footprint, but the vast majority of our footprint can get up to a gig of service. When you get down to the address, you got to survey it depending on where it is, but the vast majority can get a gig.
Now I remember what I was going to say. So as far as the 5G, the G stands for fifth generation. Like Brad said, it's when the wireless providers. So what we do, Comcast Business, that's something that's new, sort of, is we offer a 4G wireless backup internet service with our business internet. So we test whatever signal stronger in the area, whether Verizon or AT&T, and we actually bring in a device that will you plug in your, say, point of sale machine. So if there's ever an event that we can't get a connection to your modem, you don't even know about it, and you'll still be able to process credit cards in real time and use the internet because you'll be connected to that wireless backup. So there are things that we've put into place recently that have, just to enhance what we already are delivering to you.
Okay. I just check in our chat to see if I've gotten all the questions that people had before we switch. Is there anyone who has a burning question for Comcast that we need to address before we move on? Okay, I'd like to.
Question is the first question residential or a business related question with the bundled package on the state?
It's probably, I would say, individual.
Okay.
One has bundled packages.
If one has the bundled packages on the state and wants to change to internet essentials, how does that work?
Yeah, so if one has a bundled package and is
You can't have internet. So if you're in a bundle with
correct, you're unable to change internet essentials. But I would recommend, look, if you have a bundle with us and you're having trouble paying it, I mean, I would call our customer care reps, and you can have a conversation. I've done it with my Cox service. You can have a conversation depending on, they might be able to downgrade your cable services to only the channels you're watching through, removing some packaging and kind of get that cost down a little bit for you. Or maybe there's a way to, do a 2-product bundle versus phone if you don't need a landline phone. So there's no hard and fast answer to something like that, but I would recommend giving our customer care folks a call and having a conversation with them to see what opportunities might present themselves to either remove things to bring down your bill.
Okay. Thank you, Katie and Brad.
All a pleasure.
Appreciate it. We have your contact information. We will send you a copy of the recording. Okay, and
Ms. Alden, can I just jump in?
Yes.
I just want to thank Katie and Brad for coming on and really helping us. They have provided us with some information that I've not yet disseminated, which will get out to the websites and to the community and to the various organizations shortly, probably by the time the week is over. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Wayne Stapleton. He has been pivotal in working with Comcast for us to have this session this evening. So it's a very positive evening and great. We're walking away with a lot of information that the community can benefit from. Thank you.
Yes,
And
thanks
we'll
for having
follow
us.
up.
You have two people that are reliable, and we'll get back with you. So you have my contact information, so please stay in touch. And thanks again for the opportunity to talk about our programs, and I hope we can find ways to continue to work together.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Have a great night, guys.